Hey guys, it's Ryan and Haley. Today we're talking about a tough mindset, how to maintain, in tough times, keeping a strong mindset, resiliency, perseverance, all of that. And welcome to Friday.
I know, he rambled that off quick today.
Yeah, we're done.
We talk about it a lot of different avenues and different ways, but it's so important to really have kind of almost like a warrior mindset, right? We have to be in this to really be after it, to get as much as we can out of it, as this whole thing that we have of life. And there's always going to be trials, tribulations, you're being tested all different ways. There's media, elections, news, Diddy, all of these things.
Oh my gosh, all of it. There's a lot of consternation and chaos in the world. And look, honestly, it's easy when we're at the peak of the mountain and the sun is shining to be joyful and to be grateful and to manifest gratitude and all those things. But what about when we're in the valley and it's cold and it's dark and there are
and you just want to stay under the covers?
Yeah, well, doubt and fear surround us, and what about then? How do we push through? That's when mindset kicks in, right? That's when resilience kicks in. And honestly, in some of those darker periods of trial and adversity is when the biggest growth periods happen in our lives. So how do we stay engaged? How do we not run from pain and seek pleasure? How do we not look to escapism when things get hard? How do we stay in the game?
Well, I think it's also really important to recognize you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
You really can't. Ryan was talking about it, and you can't have darkness without like as much Buddhism as get in there. That's really what the yin and the yang is about. You can't have one without the other. So you can't be courageous if you're not in a fearful moment.
Right. I mean, we exhibit tough mindset in the sense that we stay in action and we have a protocol and a routine and things we do. But outside resources are very helpful to educate on these things. And Rich Davini has a book called The Attributes, and he did an episode with Jim Rome, The Reinvention Project. It's like episode 4. It should be prerequisite to entrepreneurialism or anybody that's a business owner. But he talks about breaking down a tough mindset into 4 things: courage, perseverance, adaptability, and resiliency. So like you just said, courage. Well, courage can't even show up until we are presented and confront fear, right? So the fear has to be there in order for courage to even show up.
When, same with
Perseverance.
Perseverance. I wanted to say preservation. I'm like, wait, that's not what we're going for. Perseverance. You have to have that tough mindset, and you have to have that kick in, because the only way to perceive and get further is to keep pushing yourself. And the only way that can happen is when you have moments of doubt of why am I doing this? I told somebody today, I was on the phone with him and love the kid. He's a hustler. And I told him, he's like, I'm just getting super impatient. Things aren't happening. And I told him, I said, 1, I'm going to start paying you I'm going to bill you for my coaching. But 2, I told him, I said, to make a baby, that takes 9 months. You can't look at your woman and be like, hey, so I know this takes about 9 months, but we want to go on vacation in 3, so can we hurry this up? If something gets hurried up, a process like that, there's usually going to be a problem. There's something wrong. So that's why it's so important. You can't have the push through of the perseverance of that without having the doubt of is this working?
Well,
and push through in it.
There's a natural timetable associated with it, right? And that's where patience kicks in. And speaking of natural phenomena, we actually have a courage loop. But the courage loop cannot take place in the brain until you confront a scary moment or something outside of our comfort zone or outside of what we're familiar with that we fear. So when we face it and we decide to do it anyway, you actually get a hit of dopamine, and it triggers what's called the courage loop. So when you fight or flight, you decide to fight or step into pain or step into fear, you get a dopamine hit, and the body says, let's go, right? So, but that can't happen unless what? Unless you're in fear. So that made me feel better, because if I have fears of financial insecurity or fears of doing a talk or fear, whatever fear, it's
I know rejection, of success, of all the fears we have.
There's so much fear, right? It's just a communication mechanism from our psyche. Pain communicates with the body, don't do that, it hurts. Fear is saying, hey, this is new, we're scared, right? It's just communicating to you. Just get quiet, get slower, and do it anyway. And you will get the benefit of the courage.
Yeah, even like in a life process of like, not even so much business, but like when I was a child, I remember we went to Six Flags for my brother's birthday, and I was so terrified of roller coasters. I was like, there's no way I'm risking my life. I was like 9 years old, and I was like, absolutely not. But then there came a point where everybody was going on the roller coaster, and they were like, well, you're gonna have to stand here by yourself, like, or my mom would have to wait and take turns. And I was like, you know what? My parents were not like the most like sentimental people. It was like, you're either gonna do this or you're not. So that's it.
There's a bench over there. We'll see you in 20.
So I was like, okay, and I'm like shaking, crying the entire time. I got on it, did it, and guess what? Now one of my favorite things in the world is roller coasters. Like, I love Six Flags. I love roller coasters. I'm like ready to bungee jump at any point, like jump out of plane. So like for me, it took me to just get out of that. And I was like 9 years old, and now I have one of my favorite things is roller coasters. And that's not even business, but it just goes to the point of the mindset of like pushing through and being able to experience something you would have never experienced without pushing through that.
When you think people think we walk around courageous is absence of fear, it's not. And it's only sometimes has to be like 20 seconds of courage. It's not like you have to walk around and be ready to jump into any conflict at any moment, and that's courage. Courage is like at the inflection point where it's difficult and you want to stop and you want to quit. In that 20 seconds, you can be courageous and push through that just for 20 seconds of courage, and you can benefit the rest of your life from something like
When
that.
I think of like, having that kind of warrior mindset, going back to that, warriors back in the day, they were courageous. They charged first thing in and said, we are going to battle. This is how and they went head first into it. And with the way the culture has kind of we've came into this kind of softness of like, I want to be taken care of. I want to be comforted. And the only people that are going to comfort you and take care of you is your damn self. Like,
That's right.
you are
Nobody's coming to save you.
There's nobody out there. So when we have these moments of fear or doubt or, not being able to push through, those are the times where you benefit yourself the most, because when you push through that, you get that hit of dopamine and you're like, I can do freaking anything.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. And I saw something the other day. Actually, Krista, one of our girls, posted it. It was saying how, people talk about like when people are at the gym, they have so much confidence and they're like beaming with confidence because they look good, they're fit. And confidence it does come from looking good. Like, there is that in it, but it comes from the fact, like, I know I have done really hard shit in the gym. Like, I have been able to push myself out of my comfort zone in the gym and do things I would have never thought my body was capable of doing. That's where the confidence comes
Think
in.
of how many promises to yourself that you keep to get to that confidence, to get to the physique, to get to that mental stability, to get to that position that you got to. There's so many steps along the way where you could have quit, you could have not showed up, you could have thrown in the towel, but you didn't. You kept a promise to yourself, and esteemable acts give you self-esteem. And when you keep promises to yourself, you get pride and confidence, and you can show up and keep your promises to others.
That was so good. Esteemable acts give you self-esteem. Like, that was so good to just hear that again, because it's so true. It's when we keep those little promises to ourselves, and that's how we really develop the mindset of having this of, I can do anything. The only limit that I have on things is myself.
Yeah,
really.
So that's courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action in the face of fear. So just remember that, and it doesn't have to be 24 hours, 7 days a week. It could be like 20 seconds of courage can get you through a threshold that can
Like a split second decision.
Yes.
Split second.
Perseverance. So perseverance is, okay, you get in those moments, you face down your demons, you face the hard thing and do the hard thing, and perseverance is you keep doing that.
You do it again.
You do it again and again.
Keep doing it.
And again, you persevere. And that's where your tribe and your people and your inner circle and who you hang with. We are the average of the 5 people we hang out with most. Who are you hanging with? What podcasts are you putting in here? What input are you putting in here? We are what we eat, right? So you have to say, okay, what am I consuming? Is it benefiting me and making me more persevering? Or am I bailing out? Am I choosing?
Am I taking a shortcut?
Am I taking a shortcut? Am I just quitting? Am I going with quitter
Am I
culture?
going back to my comfort zone of like?
And it's not like all hustle all the time, like hustle culture. Like it also includes self-care. Am I moving my body, my mind, my spirit? Am I getting quiet? Right?
Yeah, I mean, this could go just in life in general. Like, there is days where you just don't want to do it. it. And you're like, today is not today, Satan, like not today.
Yeah.
But when you show up and get out of bed and get yourself into your morning routine, that is persevering. That is getting through the hard shit that you did not want to do, which goes back to giving yourself some more confidence, going back to giving yourself some more courage, because now you know you can turn this thing off and be like, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm still going to do it. Like, whatever you say, regardless.
Well, I love the analogy of the rock climber, right? He stands at the base of the rock, the mountain, and he sees the top rock. He's just going to throw you curveballs. You're going to wake up some days and you're in a hole and you don't know why, and you need a mental health day or whatever. And he talks about the little grabbies, the footholds and the finger holes and where the thing. And sometimes you want to go to the top, but the best foothold is down and to the right. So you're moving away from the optimal outcome to get the better foothold, but the whole point is it's going to progress you eventually toward the final outcome. So rigid in the outcome, but flexible in the process. And that's perseverance. It's finding the best way for you in that moment, right? Because it's an evolving thing. Each day brings different challenges, and you're going to have to jab and weave and hook and jab and kind of roll with the punches, and that's perseverance. So, I mean, we got courage, we got perseverance. The next is adaptability, right? How do we adapt? Because who knows what's coming next Tuesday or later today.
My crystal ball is going to tell me, or my crystal plant.
and we crave certainty. We crave security. The human animal, we want to cling when times are really, really good. And the problem is the only constant is change. So adaptability is part of that gritty, tough-mindedness and that mindset we're trying to develop. Like, what's adaptability mean to you?
Well, I mean, I talk about this all the time with a lot of our agents and a lot of our clients. I think people, especially in the real estate space, are some of the most resilient and adaptable people, because we always have changes coming at us. There's always new forms added to the contract. We had a huge lawsuit come in, and guess what? We adapted to it. We figured out how we were going to have a new pitch to our clients.
Think of COVID.
We all had to adapt during COVID and figure out what is this a new normality? Is this life now? Like, what we had to adapt during that change. There's always going to be some kind of change in your life. A job change, a transfer to somewhere else, a family member gets sick. There's always going to be changes in life, but it's how do you adapt to it, and how do you hold yourself to knowing, like, okay, course correct, we got to shift here, we got to change here, because we can't be so set on just, this is who I am.
The ability to pivot is critical.
Well, and I've heard this before, and it's always stuck with me. It's like, you do not have to be the person you were 5 minutes ago. You always have a chance to adapt. Let's just change this. And think about it. We have to adapt in climates and circumstances. Our bodies are always adapting to things going around us.
Oh my goodness. The only constant is change. So adaptability then becomes our superpower, because most people will freeze. A lot of people freeze in the moment. They take considerable amount of time to pivot, they overthink it, and if we stay in action, if we do the activities we know we need to do, we get the feedback from the universe, the world, the market, etc., that what changes and course corrections we need to make.
Well, and I'm not going to be disappointed, right? Like, I'm not going to have an expectation that I'm like, okay, if I have this expectation, this is all that's going to happen. But if something doesn't hit my expectation, I'm going to get disappointed. But if I can adapt to it and just go with the flow and be like, you know what? This doesn't seem to be working. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
That's how you adapt and have that mindset of, like, kind of just go with the flow. Like, you know, go. I have one friend who she, like, has an itinerary for everything. Everything. If we go on a vacation, every second is booked out. And if that doesn't happen, she, like, does that, like, this isn't working. My plan, like,
vacation.
Like literally on a vacation, and it's like, chill the F out. Like, it's gonna be okay. We will figure it out. We're going to adapt. And hey, the ATV ride didn't work out, but we can go do this. Like, it's okay.
What we do is we draft up a recipe of what activities we feel will generate the best results. But the tough part is let go of the results. If we work like hell on what we can control, the non-controllables will take care of themselves. In other words, have an activity-based business plan where you can bang the hell out of the business plan and work like hell, and then the results will come. Most people want to reverse engineer it. They just want to get the result and then back their way into the work, and it just doesn't work that way. And because the process shines a big bright light on what changes are necessary, because this all of a sudden isn't working, but this is. But you only discover that by doing multiple things and doing it consistently. So I think that, you know, if we can work like hell on the things that we're in control of and detach from the results, because if you do, as you do the little things, the big things tend to take care of themselves, and doing the work reveals that.
Oh, absolutely. And it allows you to pivot, make corrections, change, and adapt to other things. Adapt to other things.
The fourth thing he talks about is resiliency. So what I think about is like, look, we all get knocked down. I love the little meme that says knock down 7 times, rise up 8, right?
Or what does Kendall say too? You can knock me down, but you won't knock me out.
Yeah.
She always gets back up. Like
resiliency. How do you bounce back from adversity? When you take a blow, when you get kicked in the face, when it's just not going your way, when everything seems like a headwind, when just getting out of bed is hard. How do you bounce back? That's resiliency to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think resiliency is, what do you do to keep yourself going, to keep that push happening, to keep yourself motivated, to have that resiliency of like, all this shit happened, but I'm still going to keep going. Kind of resiliency and persevering, those really go hand in hand together. Like, it really correlates with having that same kind of like, let's just fucking do this mindset.
Absolutely. The mindset, and what really, to me, the foundation of that is purpose. Look, if you have a purpose and you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, it allows you to get up from the mat when you get knocked down. It allows you to push through that moment in the morning when you're like, I just don't want to today, and you do it anyway. It allows you to find different routes when the front door is locked and you go around and find a way through the window or the back door, or you make a freaking way, right? That all comes from what's my purpose, what's my core values, what do I really want people, God
What's
forbid,
my drive? Yeah.
What's my drive? What will people say about me at my funeral, right? What kind of legacy am I leaving? What are my go-to absolute core values? Develop those, develop a purpose around those and how you can help others achieve what they're doing. And you will jump out of that bed with purpose, because the purpose will give you courage in the face of fear. It'll give you perseverance when you don't want to, and that's nasty to keep pushing. It forces you to be adaptable, because when you have a purpose, you will be in action, and that action shows you as you need to change, and you become adaptable. And it definitely gives you resiliency, because you're going to stay on purpose and achieve those things that go along with that purpose.
Well, and I think it's so cool too, because you can look back and be like, man, I gone through some really hard shit, and I'm still here doing the same thing, I kept through it. And that's where you give yourself confidence of being like, I can do hard shit. Like, I can make it through some hard stuff. And look, like, we are talking about this because we are trying to perfect it for us. We are not perfect. We have days where I tell Ryan, I'm just like, like this, there's been like today was a day, or we get done with the day and you just feel so wiped, and then we go through those. So that's why we are so in this. It's because it's a practice. There's never like, oh, you've arrived to being the perfect person. Like, there is no arrival. This is something we have to practice, and we go through the valleys and we go through the peaks, and we have all these things, and we talk about it because it helps us get through this crazy world that we are trying to adapt to and go with the flow on. And by us being able to talk about it, it just helps us instill it, and really helps us like, okay, we know we have different outlets when shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Where am I going when things get hard? Who am I going to? Who are my people? You don't have to do it alone, right? That's one thing, is that you have a tribe around you, a support system, people that got you, right? The other thing is if you do it moment by moment and you look back, and look, we're all part of this human predicament. Nobody gets out alive, and nobody leaves without scars, okay? So we all go through adversity, tough times, huge, massive hardships. And so, but if you look back, it's amazing the things we get to and get through. And we're 100% survived our hardest days, right? So, like, it doesn't happen. With the benefit of perspective, we see huge sweeping changes, but in the moment, it doesn't feel like that. It's just like, let me just get through this moment, and then the next 5 minutes, and then just today, and I'll worry about tomorrow. That's really what it looks like, just being present for it.
Right, and having that, knowing like, okay, I can get through this. I have the next day. And honesty, like, I'm waiting for Ryan to send me the therapy bill. Like, here's my accounts payable. Thank you. I know, like, because we have each other. Like, we have Katie. We're able to really have a solid core where like all the masks are down, where I know I can go to Ryan or Katie and be like, dude, I work. No, sure, he laughs because he knows, like, I am the most vocal processor and will just word vomit. But once I get it out, I feel so much better. And I'm like, okay, It's out. Now let me go keep kicking ass and doing what I need to do.
Go find and here's your people, your tribe, the people that you can just go and just ugly cry. Okay, you know that ugly cry? I can go with these women and know I can ugly cry with them and have a day, and then they're not, and all the masks are down, and we're just gonna push through that, and they got me. You know what I mean? And vice versa, and that's your people.
Pretty sure I've ugly cried and peed my pants at the same time in front of both of these people in the room. Yep, Katie shakes her head like, yep, that's definitely happened. So you guys, we are not perfect human beings. We are trying to adapt every day and trying to get through and have perseverance. And
we talk about it so much because we need to talk about it so much. We're practitioners of this stuff.
I had to have courage after I pissed my pants in a restaurant and walk out because I was laughing and crying so hard all at once. And yeah, you know what? We had to push through it.
And so,
that's the shit we can laugh about, though.
In this world we live in, there's a lot of talk about mental health. There's a lot of talk about self-care. There's a lot of talk. If you're looking to develop your mental toughness, we've come up with recipes for us. We have reference guides and books and podcasts we can point you to, and we have so much to learn. None of this is figure out. It's figure outable, but it's not figured out for us. We are on the path. We are learning this stuff every single day. But it helps to focus on it, because when you focus on the body and the mind, instantly head in that direction, right? So
when Ryan starts levitating, guys, we will let you know. But no, like, that's why we say this is a practice. This helps us practice, and there's never going to be a moment of arrival of like, yes. And you can even look at all of the huge successful entrepreneurs and stuff. There was never a moment for them where they were like, I have arrived. They are always pushing to do something bigger and do something better. There's never a moment for any successful entrepreneur or somebody that has this kind of mindset where they're like, I've arrived. It's always, what can we do more of? How can I push myself to be better?
Yeah, so that's mental toughness. Look, hey, we live in some interesting times, people, but if you look and know your history, there's been lots of instances of really, really troubling and difficult, chaotic times throughout history. So we're not special in that sense, but it can feel especially difficult to deal with some of the challenges before us. So we're working on it. If you have any questions or anything, any resources, or if you want another accountability buddy for mental toughness, we got you. We talk about this stuff.
Because we need more accountability buddies.
Yes, the more accountability we can have, the better. So that's what we have for you on this wonderful Friday. Anything else to add or anything to sign off with?
No, thank you guys so much. And any other ideas or things we can help with, that's what we're here for.
All right, until next time, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Haley. Bye.
Bye.